Hello, and welcome to Discussions with Energy Leaders. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Dave Robau. Dave is the founder and CEO at National Energy USA. He's also the executive director and founder of Gulf Coast Energy Network. I've had the opportunity to meet and work with Dave and visit with him on multiple occasions, and he's one of sustainability's most sought after leaders. He advocates for resource conservation and sustainable design solutions. And in 2011, he was honored at a White House ceremony as one of President Obama's champions of change for his work and dedication to sustainability. Welcome, Dave.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That is quite an introduction. Thank you.
You've been involved with energy ever since I have met you, and going back well beyond and hearing a lot of the things that you have done. How did you initially get interested and involved in the field of energy and sustainability?
Yeah, great question. Let's see. So I've been an environmental scientist for about maybe 23 years at this point. And I've always had an interest in, reducing pollution, through different various technologies and practices and things like that. And I've been very, very fortunate that I've just followed this tremendous career path, that I've just had lots of opportunities and great, great mentors. I got into energy during the George W. Bush administration. I was an environmental scientist working for the Air Force. And at the time, this was right before the passage, where we had lots of legislation that was coming down the pipe. But the Department of Defense was a little kind of slow. Public policy was getting out ahead of what the DoD's central mission was. And I was literally one of the first people to get accredited under the Leadership for Energy and Environmental Design programs, because the DoD was just kind of like, yeah, I don't really see this as a priority right now. And boy, how have things changed. Oh. Yeah. It was all about the mission and people like me within the Department of Defense, we were kind of like the canary in the coal mine. We were like, look, this has impacts to national security. When your installation is flooded because of 500-year storm events, and it impacts the mission, the politics doesn't matter anymore at this point. We have a responsibility as a service to be able to defend the homeland, and if your installation is underwater, obviously you can't do that. So, and I distinctly remember having conversations right as Hurricane Michael was out in the Gulf. We got a call from Air Force Civil Engineer Center out in Tyndall Air Force Base and said, hey, look, this storm is barreling down. It's probably going to make direct hit in Panama City. We know that the Power Up Energy Expo next year is scheduled to be in Pensacola. Could you consider moving it to Panama City Beach? Because if this happens, we're going to need all hands on deck, and we're going to need to be talking with our industry partners, NGOs, the Federal Lab Consortium. So we did. We moved the event, and we've been working seamlessly, not just with the Department of the Air Force, but really with DoD, Defense Logistics Agency, Army Corps of Engineers, through this whole reconstruction project that's taken place at Tyndall Air Force Base. That storm is very, very devastating, and the conversations that we had that power up following Hurricane Michael were all around resiliency. We were talking, solar panels, electric vehicles, and all this other stuff, that the conversation shifted to fortified construction and, how do we make these installations more resilient and all these kinds of things.
Well, I know Power Up, it comes through the Gulf Coast Energy Network, and you're so involved with the community, and you and I have talked about a lot of the things that you're doing. With Gulf Coast Energy Network, is this something that was an original idea of yours? Is it something from a group of friends? How did that come about?
Yeah, it just, what's Ben Franklin's quote? Invention is the what is it?
Necessity is the
mother of invention. Thank you. Yeah. And that's exactly what it was. Like, nobody was really doing it. Our USGBC chapter might have been the closest to like doing it, but they didn't speak military at all. So we stood it up. I guess at this point, it would have been 16 years ago, just to kind of see, what's the audience going to look like. And we pulled people from a lot of the organizations that you're a part of. ASHRAE was there from the really beginning. American Planners Association, architects came on board. So all of a sudden we kind of looked around and we're like, hey, we're going to need a bigger bus. There's a lot of people coming to this thing.
With the this year, I know the Power Up Energy Expo, and you are working with SAMI and the Tri-Regional Joint Engineering Training Symposium. You're doing it together. Right. This is the first year you've done that, isn't it?
It has. So this, the Society of American Military Engineers, or SAME as we call it, I've been a board member here in the Pensacola Post for some time now, and Emerald Coast Post, and we have a number of posts throughout the state of Florida. They've always had kind of a supporting organization role, but this year we've actually co-hosted. So this regional JETS conference, it moves around from, I think, maybe South Carolina, Georgia, and it kind of moves around the Southeast. So Florida, it was our turn to host it. So last year, when we knew it was going to be coming through the state, the regional chairman for the Society of American Military Engineers reached out and said, hey, would you be open to collaborating? And if nothing else, I'm the world's biggest collaborator, right? So we teamed up, and it's just been a great, so we're reaching a different audience. Their event, I'll be honest, is more focused, I guess I should say a little more focused on business development, kind of connecting the service provider with the Department of Defense and kind of putting those two together. Ours has historically been more educational. Of course, there's networking involved. There always is. But putting these two together, it just made a lot of sense.
Dave, thank you for joining us today. And for listeners and those who are viewing, hope you would join us again for the second part of this series with Dave. He's just fascinating. As you can tell from watching my reaction, I enjoy talking to him.